Last time we warned that regulators and global corporate giants were fed up with affiliate marketers promoting unlicensed gambling on their platforms and were coming for creators holding the microphone. You responded powerfully. Countless comments, shares, either here on YouTube or Reddit, or even just at the casino table, all leading to one question.
The whole thing here rests on the integrity of the people that are behind the site. And you work for them and you can't even say who they are or what they're about.
Who writes those checks? Who actually owns CoinPoker? For the last several months, we have been investigating methodically, pulling filings from across every inhabited continent, company registries, court documents, audited accounts, major databases, and cached internet histories, and which, as you're about to see, never forget, even when someone really needs it to. Today we're going to take you through that investigation the way it actually happened. Every document we show you, the receipts you can pull yourself, we'll show you how. And I'll tell you right now, what we reveal today, plain and incontrovertible, will rock the poker world. Not just this one platform, but an entire ecosystem. And at the final door, I'm going to stop, deliberately. But don't worry, the payoff is there. I'm Crispin, and this is Poker Room Review. This channel is not sponsored by any gambling company, and never has been. I was offered the CoinPoker deal and declined. Nothing here is legal advice. Nothing in this video asserts that any named person has committed a crime. That's for regulators and courts, not YouTubers. Where something is documented fact, we'll show you the document, and you'll see many. Where it's someone else's allegation, I'll tell you who's alleging and who's denying it. And every time I cross from fact into my own opinion, I'll flag it out loud. Alright, let's go. How do you find out who owns anything? Before we chase this particular rabbit, let me tell you the most beautiful secret when it comes to corporate detective work. Most of the evidence is free, public, and sitting on government websites and databases right now. Almost every country on earth requires companies to register, telling governments who the directors and shareholders are and where the registered office is. In the United Kingdom, this repository is Companies House. Next, you need to find the leads. It can be a website URL, a brand, a business hidden in the footer terms and conditions. Then, you follow the paper trail. Website names a company. Registries names the directors. Directors lead to other companies, shareholders lead to holding companies, and eventually you hit one of two things. An actual person, or a sealed wall, where the public isn't supposed to know the truth. And spoiler, we're going to hit both. We will also be using the Internet's Archive, the Wayback Machine, a non-profit that has been photographing the internet since 1996. It timestamps and snaps billions of pages across the internet, which are stored independently and cannot be edited after the fact. And this is why many courts routinely accept these snapshots as evidence. When a company changes its website and hopes nobody noticed, the Wayback Machine noticed. What does CoinPoker say about itself? We have to go back in time to October of 2023. If we scroll down to the footer of the page, we can see that it was operated by Precise IG Solutions B.V, Curacao, and Lissa license number. Curacao e-gaming license 1668 Jazz. Now, quick history. Up until 2024, Curacao was a go-to destination for gaming licensing. That's because they allowed companies to sub-license gaming licenses to others. In short, if you were the master license holder, you could on-sell the legitimacy without the probity. It was known as the cheapest and lightest touch licensing scheme in the industry, which led to a business model where just a handful of licenses were sublet to hundreds and hundreds of gambling platforms operating underneath. CoinPoker was no different and was sub-licensed off the back of the master license holder, Cyberluck Curacao N.V. Then in 2024, Curacao moved to abolish sub-licensing entirely. As the old regime wound down, Cyberluck went bust. Cyberluck was declared bankrupt. Every sub-license hanging off it, including CoinPoker's, is extinguished, dead. And then from the 24th of December that year, Curaçao's new gaming law, the LOK, came into force. So did CoinPoker apply under the new regime, seeking to obtain its own separate Curacao license? No, of course not. Instead, in December 2024, the site surfaced holding a license from Anjouan, that autonomous island in the Comoros we spoke about in part 1, whose licensing regime its own Comorian government reportedly describes as fictitious, and the license, if you were to follow it faithfully, still excludes by name the USA, UK, France, Spain, the Netherlands, Australia, and basically everywhere CoinPoker's audience lives. And this Anjouan licensed operator did not go unnoticed by regulators. Here in Australia, on the 27th of June 2025, the Australian Communications and Media Authority, ACMA, issued a published formal warning to Precise IG Solutions. Meanwhile, within the United States, Louisiana's Gaming Control Board placed Precise IG Solutions on its public illegal operators list, an actual government blacklist. Legitimate businesses take these warnings seriously. CoinPoker didn't. It did not geo-block Australia or Louisiana. Instead, 6 weeks later, on the 7th of August 2025, a brand new company is incorporated 4,000 kilometers away in Panama City, with a familiar and newish name, Precise Interactive Incorporated. And that is where CoinPoker.com claims to be based today. So let's pull up the Panamanian registry filing together. There's a president, a secretary, a treasurer, and all three of them work for the law firm that set the company up. And there's a field on the filing for the legal representative, the person authorized to speak and sign for the business. And it says, no consta, none on record. Now remember what this company is for. It's right there in the charter, first line, notarized in Spanish. Operar una plataforma de gaming. To operate an online gaming platform. The shares are nominative, which sounds like transparency. It isn't. Yes, the shareholders are named, but the book they're named in is private. It never touches the public registry, so the filing tells you the owners do exist somewhere. It just won't tell you who. Put it together and you've got a nominee structure. You pay a law firm, the firm's own staff sit on the board as placeholders. The real owner's name appears nowhere to be seen. And all of that is completely legal in Panama. It's also functionally a wall with a brass nameplate. So following this thread, we have found a Curaçao entity closed, an Anjouan license which excludes almost everywhere CoinPoker is advertised and is not recognized by its own government, and a Panama company with no owner names to be found on the public record. Panamanian authorities and foreign governments could investigate and find the names, but it's a dead end for us. So, as investigators, when the front door is locked to you, you check the window. And the first window was left open by, of all people, Google. Part 1 viewers will remember the tweet. September 2025, CoinPoker's own community manager announces CoinPoker is, quote, a certified Google site, unquote. And I showed you the complete list of evidence supporting that claim. Nothing. But some helpful commenters attempting to discredit that video did point us somewhere. Because there is one place where Google and gambling ads meet in public. The Google Ads Transparency Center. After years of regulatory pressure, mostly out of Europe, Google now publishes a searchable database of every advertiser on its network, every ad they've run, and, this is the good part, the verified legal identity of whoever paid for it. To run ads, an advertiser has to satisfy Google as to who they legally are. And Google displays it, publicly, for free. So, who pays for CoinPoker's Google ads? Should be easy. Surely it's Precise IG Solutions or Precise Interactive or some gambling company, right? Let's see. Josh Consultancy Limited? Wait, who's that? Yes, as you can see, when you search up advertising for CoinPoker.com, the verified advertiser on record is Josh Consultancy Limited. Registered activity, management consultancy, with Google's own badge next to it. Quote, advertiser has verified their identity, end quote. And that, by the way, is almost certainly the seed of the certified by Google site boast, an identity verification badge on a consultancy's account, not a gambling certification. All that happened here was that Google verified that a company was a company, nothing more. Now look at the ads this consultancy runs. By July 2026, this account had grown to roughly 800 ads. And it wasn't just CoinPoker anymore. BestWallet.com, CryptoNews.com, and a mystery box site called Gemlet.com. A management consultancy had become a multi-brand, multi-language advertising operation. Remember Gemlet. We're putting a pin in Gemlet. But who is Josh Consultancy Limited? It's a UK-based company, so let's check Company's House. Josh Consultancy Limited, incorporated 26th of April 2023 by a bulk formation agent, Registered address, 20 to 22 Wenlock Road, London, N1. Now, if that address sounds weirdly familiar, that's because it appears on thousands of UK companies. It's a popular mail forwarding address to allow companies to say they exist somewhere. Because in the UK, for about 50 quid, formation agents will incorporate your company and rent you their address. It's perfectly legal and also the natural habitat of any business that would rather not be visited. Josh Consultancy Limited is led by one officer, the sole director, Suresh Chandra Joshi, born September 1976. No employees or other officers on record, no trading history you can see. A letterbox with a Google verification badge which appears to exclusively advertise on behalf of offshore gambling operations in crypto. Now, Companies House has a lovely feature. You can search by director. So what else might Mr. Joshi direct? Amplify Alliance Limited. Same sole director, same Wenlock Road address. This one at least is registered as an advertising agency. It also runs Google Ads. And yet its roughly 200 verified ads are not for Coin Poker. They're for an odd panoply of websites. AdventureGamers.com, CheatKicks.net, EscapistMagazine.com, PokerStrategy.com, and many more. At first glance, these websites appear to be disconnected from one another, which may not be surprising. It is not unusual for companies to use separate entities to buy their media advertising. And yet there is a common link. They are all news and magazine publications with long-standing histories of trust and credibility within their respective domains. So it is odd that such venerable institutions would all be willing to allow gambling advertising from dubious operators to be slapped onto their brands. That is, unless there is another common link. They are all now collectively owned by the same company. So it's time to properly meet the machine that owns them all. Two companies, two names you'll be hearing for the rest of this video, and getting the relationship between them exactly right matters. So we'll do it all by the book. If you are across the current poker gossip, there are several allegations that ClickOut Media and Finixio Limited are the ones who actually own Coin Poker.
Who owns Coin Poker now, Charlie?
It's that company that I forgot the name of with salmon behind it. ClickOut Media.
We'll address this head on, but first, let's review the evidence in front of us. Finixio described themselves as a leading marketing and SEO agency helping clients all over the world. In their words, quote, "There are very few businesses out there that can compete with our SEO strategies," end quote. On Companies House, Finixio Limited was registered on 30 November 2018 by directors Adam Robert Grunberg and Samuel Broadbent Miranda. There are two shareholders, ARG Media Limited, owned by Adam Robert Grunberg, and SBM Holding Group Limited, owned by Samuel Broadbent Miranda. On the 21st of April 2026, Charlie Carroll, a person most of you will know and who has promoted Coin Poker in the past, said,
"Salmon behind it. ClickOut Media."
Now, they deny all of it. ClickOut Media is currently suing a researcher in Denmark over claims that he's tying these companies together. So let's set the gossip aside and let the evidence do the talking. Today, their website is clickoutmedia.com. A key service they offer, in-depth product and service reviews on trusted finance and crypto platforms. But in 2023, go to finixio.com, which refers to the shortened clickout.com. In fact, scroll down to their main page where they say ClickOut is, quote, "another flagship product from Finixio." Quote, "an affiliate marketing acquisition and CRM platform written in-house by Finixio," end quote. And it goes on, quote, "under the hood, we store and process vast amounts of event data, allowing us to algorithmically determine optimal lead acquisition for regulated and unregulated traffic at runtime." The page pointed to a London address. It even featured Finixio's founder, Adam Grunberg, himself promoting ClickOut with his own testimonial as the head of CryptoPR.com, a Finixio-owned brand. Then, around September 2023, the footer suddenly changed to a Malta-based company and address. ClickOut Media Limited. Mention of Finixio was removed, but the co-founder headshot of Adam Grunberg's own testimonial to himself remained until late 2023. Both websites feature the same employees as well, Hassan and Matthew. The website and branding appear to have migrated to clickoutmedia.com with identical logos, which were updated in mid-June 2025. Scrolling through the current website, there is no mention of Finixio, the team, or its founders. But screenshots and poker promoters aside, there is the hard evidence: the Malta registry. ClickOut Media Limited is registered in Malta. We pulled the files, and as you can see, the same majority shareholders are listed: ARG Media Limited and SBM Holding Group Limited, the same shareholders as Finixio. Meanwhile, reading over Finixio's own filing history, its shareholders have changed over time. From November 2020 until December 2024, 2.5% of Finixio was owned by a shareholder named Suresh Joshi. Now, we cannot say from this alone that Suresh Joshi here is the same as the Suresh listed on the Finixio website as head of paid media in 2021, or if the same Suresh is the director of Josh Consultancy and Amplify Alliance, who just happens to advertise CoinPoker and many ClickOut Media-owned websites. Suresh could just be a very popular name. We'll come back to that, but a quick segue first. We have already established the link between ClickOut Media and Finixio having the same shareholders, but I promise we're just warming up. Let's now discuss the poker websites that ClickOut Media has acquired. And this is where things start getting ugly for the poker ecosystem. Cardplayer.com, PokerStrategy.com, and PokerScout.com. Some context first. The iGaming industry, online gambling, is a highly competitive market and seriously oversaturated. Getting customer traffic to a new iGaming business requires that you be discoverable by search engines, for your business to appear at the top of search results and to be listed number one and recognized as the best. In the iGaming industry, one popular but underhanded means to do this is what is known as parasite SEO, which is to buy up old, trusted and well-established websites that Google's search algorithm is already familiar with, affording what is known as domain authority, and then to feature your iGaming business inside of it. Purchase a venerable website, keep its trusted shell, and publish whatever you like. Google keeps ranking it like it's still 1998's honest publication. The readers aren't the product. The ranking is the product. Now, of course, Google is clamping down on this practice, but with AI-generated content, it's easy to produce and difficult to police. But now what should happen to these legacy poker sites? 3 different stories with the Wayback Machine as our witness. Exhibit 1, Card Player. Founded 1988. The magazine, Doyle Era Royalty, 20 years of dense web archive. And for all those years, the page cardplayer.com/onlinepoker, a page ranking online poker sites, simply did not exist. No history, nothing. Then, from the first week of November 2024, the page is born. And from its very first Wayback capture, on its first day of existence, it ranked one site number 1, CoinPoker. The magazine's reported acquisition into the ClickOut orbit per trade press came the following month. Exhibit 2, PokerStrategy.com. Once the largest poker school on earth, in 2013, Playtech acquired it for a whopping $49.2 million, 2 years after Black Friday. 12 years later, in January 2025, Playtech sold it for a mere $6.1 million, an 87% markdown on the asset. And then in August of 2025, a brand new page appears. PokerStrategy.com/onlinepoker. First capture, number 1, CoinPoker. Now styled a premium partner. And remember the Google ads pushing PokerStrategy.com listicles into the United States? Well, they were bought by Amplify Alliance Limited. We've welded that end already. Exhibit 3, and this one got to me. PokerScout.com. Since 2006, PokerScout has done one sacred thing: publish measured traffic data, actual player counts from a data firm called Game Intel. It's the industry's authentic scoreboard. May 2024, CoinPoker sits at number 31 in the world by measured traffic, 31. On 28th of March 2025, the legacy site, CoinPoker isn't in frame. 11th of April 2025, just 14 days later, CoinPoker is now pinned above rank number 1 in a best bonus band inserted inside the ranking table itself, directly contradicted by the site's own traffic numbers in the same viewport. and the trust furniture survived that renovation. The quote, "Why you can trust PokerScout" page is still live. The 100% accurate claim, still live. The page explaining what GameIntel actually is though, well, it's a dead link redirecting to the homepage. They kept the trust. They killed the explanation of what the trust was based on. That's parasite SEO in a snapshot. But who sold PokerScout? Well, here we had to do the deep dive into some audited accounts. You see, back in 2017, PokerScout's new reported owner was Catena Media. And this is a public Stockholm listed company, which means Catena is legally required to publish audited financials. I went through their entire quarterly filing over the past 9 years. Buried deep in fiscal year 2024's annual report records exactly one unnamed, quote, domains and websites disposal for the year. 389,000 euros, timing fixed by its quarterly reports in Q2 of 2024. It matches the window and our estimated scale of the PokerScout sale, but that's circumstantial evidence, not proof. So we asked Catena's investor relations team if our deductions were correct. Catena's 2024 disposal of PokerScout.com confirmed. And it's not just poker. Over roughly 18 months, Trade Reporting has this network hoovering up casino beats, Esport Insider, Gambling Insider, reportedly for up to £14 million. The Escapist, Video Gamer, Games Hub, Adventure Gamers, Dutch gaming titles, British football sites, including She Kicks, a women's football magazine. The list goes on. And what happens to these publications after acquisition? Well, former staff report mass layoffs with the writing handed over to AI. One named journalist has gone on the record that a robot took over his byline, his name still publishing without him. One author's headshot rated 100% machine generated by a detection firm. And one managing editor holding concurrent contracts across PokerScout, Gaming America, and Technopedia, with the byline on Card Player's inaugural ranking page doubling as PokerScout's poker editor. Nominally, these are each independent titles, demonstrably shared staff. And to be crystal clear per this channel's standing rule, journalists and editors named in the filings and bylines appear as evidence of common operation. No claim is made about any individual journalist's knowledge or conduct, especially in this case as many of these are victims of the story, not the authors of it. So, the room, the ads, the media that ranks the room, all connected. Now it's time to follow the money. And for that, we need what might become your favorite document in this entire file. The fire alarm audit. A fire alarm in company's house. Quick explainer for those who don't know. In the UK, companies above a certain size must have independent accountants, auditors, to check their books annually. Auditors are the immune system of the corporate world, and for anyone who's been through one, well, it certainly feels like a flu. But in the UK, when an auditor actually resigns, Section 519 of the Companies Act requires that they file a public statement of circumstances. And usually it's just a boilerplate box-ticking exercise saying something like, "Nothing to report, cheers." But there is a substantive version of that filing, and one that's vanishingly rare. Accountants call it a fire alarm. It means we are leaving and we are legally telling the world why. In December 2022, Finixio's auditor, Haynes Watts, a serious mid-tier firm, resigned with immediate effect and filed the substantive version. The auditor stated that it had identified transactions labelled, quote, marketing purposes, which, their words, appear to be over-the-counter cryptocurrency purchases and appear to be mischaracterized to avoid disclosure to third parties. It recorded concerns about trading ethics, a breakdown of trust, a limitation on their audit. This is about as loud as an auditor is legally capable of screaming. But we must fairly report the balance because the same letter records the company's denial. Finixio's recorded defense attributes any misrepresentation of the transactions to the recipient of them, an Estonian entity called Profitoro OÜ. So naturally, we pulled the Estonian registry. It was a straightforward exercise for me because it's a country I know disproportionately well. As it happens, I have an entire other YouTube channel dedicated to the Baltic region called Baltic World. Anyhow, Profitoro OÜ, Samuel Miranda, 100% shareholder, sole board member, registered beneficial owner from September 2020 until deletion. Never actually paid in. Annual reports filed in 3.5 years of existence? 0. Struck off compulsorily in March 2024 for exactly that reason, quote, without depository of documents, end quote. The entity at the center of the company's own explanation to its own auditor found no financial record in existence and owned by the same person as Finixio. Estonia shows no tax debt against it, and abandoning a spent shell to strike off is a routine practice. Meanwhile, Finixio's next auditor issued a clean bill of opinions with the crypto openly disclosed. That's all true. And what did that disclosure actually reveal? Cryptocurrency additions of £54.6 million in fiscal year 2023 and £34.25 million in fiscal year 2024. Disposals of £61.6 million and £34.78 million. Call it £90 million of crypto moving through the balance sheet of a company whose stated principal activity is internet marketing in 2 years, ending each year holding practically none of it. Not illegal, just a hell of a lot of cryptocurrency for a company that's making listicles. Then in fiscal year 2024, it does something remarkable. The company hollows itself out. In Finixio's own audited words, revenue down 33%, attributed to, quote, the migration of certain business activities to a related partner company, a company the accounts declined to name. The entire £10.67 million book of website assets disposed to nil. Receivables from, quote, entities with the same majority shareholders, end quote, tripled to £18.5 million. The transparent, audited UK company was emptied while the business moved somewhere with less transparency. Sound familiar? It's the Curacao to Panama move in accounting form. This network doesn't dissolve under scrutiny, it migrates. And then, in 2025, the principals themselves migrate. Miranda's registry address moves to Portugal in June, and Finixio's CFO relocates to Cyprus in September. 3 offshore moves in 5 months. Which brings us to Cyprus. But first, a detour to the strangest page in this whole investigation. Every company has a public face. One of CoinPoker's most senior publicly promoted figures is its head of outreach. Dr. Slobodan Popovic is a research fellow at Serbia's Institute of International Politics and Economics, attached to its Belt and Road Center, with a doctorate on the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And everything I'm about to show you comes from one source, his own LinkedIn profile. Nothing leaked, nothing hacked. His page, his words, sitting in public, and honestly one of the most surreal things I've ever seen. Start at the top. His listed employer, ClickOut Media. His role, head of outreach at CoinPoker. Sit with that. A senior staff member states the link plainly, in his own headline. When people ask, what's the actual documented connection between ClickOut and CoinPoker, this is Exhibit 1, an executive who works for both and says so. Now let's browse, because the same LinkedIn page also documents a parallel career, and this is where it gets genuinely weird. A research fellowship at a state institute's Belt and Road Center, a self-announced appearance on CGTN, China's state international broadcaster, whose US arm is registered under the Foreign Agents Registration Act and whose UK license Ofcom revoked in 2021 over editorial control by the Chinese Communist Party. Now, this is an academic who's helped host a delegation from the PRC State Council Advisory Office and who has a publication record that is, and this is my characterization, reliably, glowingly aligned with Beijing's positions. All of it public, all of it proud, all of it sitting directly underneath a CoinPoker headline. Now hold that page next to this. CoinPoker operates simplified and traditional Chinese affiliate versions of its site. 100% matchback sign-up bonus, while a satellite Chinese language site markets it as requiring no identity verification, and third-party guides explain the VPN route from the mainland. And gambling in mainland China is not just illegal. The PRC enforces that prohibition beyond its borders with dangerous vigor. Just ask the Philippines, whose entire offshore gambling industry, the Pogos, was hammered by years of deadly Chinese pressure into a total ban in 2024. This alone cost the Filipino government some 20 billion pesos a year in lost tax revenue and precipitated an almost 10% drop in the value of condos in Metro Manila overnight as tens of thousands of iGaming staff were expelled on mass repatriation flights to China. So assemble this puzzle with me. A state that hunts offshore gambling operators targeting its citizens hard enough to reshape another country's entire economy, and an anonymous crypto poker room courting mainland players in Chinese, no ID required, whose most visible public-facing executive is embedded in that state's institutions and media. Why is this operation apparently fine to the CCP? Now, being clear, as much as I would love for this to become a spy thriller, I have no evidence of direct state involvement in the platform. But, given the open connection with unlicensed gambling affecting China itself, the Chinese Communist Party's warm affection for their favoured Serbian academic is curious. We'll leave that aside there as our investigation moves to its next stop, Nicosia. Remember the CFO who moved to Cyprus? We'll meet the fourth principal, Tony Tajinder Danjal, Chartered Certified Accountant, Finixio Director from May 2024, the man whose signature sits on the fiscal year 2023 and 2024 accounts and the December 2024 share cancellation. In September 2025, Finixio filed a change of particulars. Danjal's country of residence? Cyprus, effective the 1st of September. So we searched the Cyprus registry for his name, and we found not just one company but a whole cluster. 11 companies directed by Tony Tajinder Danjal, administered by a Nicosia law practice specializing in iGaming, crypto and tax, complete with its own nominee, secretarial and trustee vehicles. Fourth country, same architecture. Formation agents in London, a law firm in Panama City, fiduciaries in Nicosia. These are corporate services professionals doing lawful corporate services, and for any investigators watching, the people whose client files own the beneficial ownership answers. But is this the same name problem as Joshi? No, this one we can definitely close. We purchased the official Cyprus registry report and it discloses what UK-style records don't. Full 3-part name, UK national, date of birth, matching Finixio CFO filing exactly. And now finally, Gemlet.com. Remember way back when we put a pin in it? Here's where it pays off. Gemlet.com is a mystery box site whose Google ads are bought by Josh Consultancy, the coin poker letterbox, but is operated by a different company called JLT Digital Media Limited, registered in Cyprus in March 2025. Director, Tony Tajinder Danjal. Follow the loop with me because it's gorgeous. The shell that advertises the poker room also buys the ads for a gambling adjacent product owned by a company directed by the media group's own CFO. The letterbox in London and the cluster in Nicosia are serving the same family. And there's one more company in Danjal's Cyprus cluster whose name poker players are going to instantly identify with. GTO Strategy Limited. If you're a poker nerd, GTO needs no introduction. Game theory optimal. The solver era holy grail. And GTOstrategy.com presents exactly what you'd expect. An independent poker training site, study tools, coaching content. Scroll now to the testimonials on that website. 4 of them, and 3 of the 4 are prominent coin poker ambassadors. The 4th is an endorsement from Owen Messer, credentialed on the site as Coin Poker Cash Game World Champion. And he is indeed a uniquely prodigious poker talent. But Mr. Messer is not, on any roster we can find, a coin poker ambassador. He's a player, one who topped the leaderboard of a competition run at Nosebleed Stakes by Coin Poker, on Coin Poker, and promoted through the network's own media, PokerStrategy.com's exclusive coverage, quote, in association with Coin Poker. And let me be surgically clear before the internet does its thing. I do not believe Mr. Messer's play, his fair win, is in any doubt whatsoever. For reasons I'll come to later, I actually don't think those engaging him for a testimonial could have assisted in his play on the platform even if they wanted to. He is in this video for one reason only, and it's what that testimonial sits inside. You see, in June 2026, SheKicks.net, yes, the SheKicks bi-monthly football magazine whose ads are run by Suresh Joshi's Amplify Alliance Limited, and which has suddenly developed a side interest in how amazing coin poker apparently is, ran an article promoting GTOstrategy.com, developed in collaboration with Owen Messer and Patrick Leonard, who is, in turn, Coin Poker's flagship ambassador. So trace the full circuit with me. Coin Poker creates a championship title on its own platform, The network's media promotes it, the champion's endorsement then markets the trading product. That trading product then belongs to a company directed by the network's own CFO. Room, media, title, testimonial, training site. Every surface connected underneath. That is how much you're being manipulated. The CoinPoker partnership is out in the open. The corporate ownership behind the training site is not clear. That, the undisclosed ownership, not any person in the circuit, is the finding. So, deep breath. We've connected the advertising, the media, the staffing, the equity history, the CFO's companies, and the training site. Surely the conclusion then writes itself. Finixio and ClickOut Media own CoinPoker, right? Well, here's where I'm going to surprise the comment section. So does ClickOut Media actually own CoinPoker? Opinion, probably not. Flagging loudly because we are now fully in opinion territory, not hard fact. Because everything we've proven is connection. Shared advertising infrastructure, shared staffing, historical equity adjacency, commercial wealth through Cyprus. But connection is not ownership. And when I actually weigh it, I don't think ClickOut Media owns CoinPoker. I think something more mundane and frankly pathetic is happening. I think they're the Poker Room's marketing arm, an affiliate operation that went absolutely catastrophically mad with overreach and is destroying poker in the process. Look at the shape of everything we found. Buying media titles is an affiliate play. Parasite SEO is an affiliate play. Letterbox ad accounts, listicles into Louisiana, and an army of YouTube creators with sign-up codes. That's not how an owner behaves. An owner that builds a whole online poker platform tends to love poker. An owner protects the asset. But this is how a commission-hungry marketing machine behaves when they don't care. Where every incremental sign-up pays lifetime rewards and every risk lands on someone else's license, or lack of one. The affiliate model's entire pathology is that the marketer doesn't bear the operator's risk, so the marketing expands until it hits something hard. And what it hit was YouTube's mainstream. The fatal innovation here wasn't the crypto or the shells, it was using public-facing creators to jailbreak a grey market product out of the shadows and mass sell it to normies on the world's biggest video streaming platform. This is precisely what summoned the regulators, the journalists, and well, me. And this, by the way, is why I told you earlier that those engaging Mr. Messer couldn't have juiced his results even if they'd wanted to. These guys don't have the talent or the finesse or the care to be the ones holding the deck. They're an embarrassment, both to poker and their own industry alike. And a word on the senior signed ambassadors. Part 1 was their notice. Some aspiring creators did take that notice to heart. But for the ambassadors themselves, they've spent the week since publishing their most inventive excuses and carrying on business as usual. Back then, ignorance was still available to them as an excuse, but they've spent the intervening weeks proving it's a choice. Judge that as you see fit, and I have. But even so, it doesn't mean that as an everyday YouTube creator who has been misled that your channel is safe. Since our last video, Google has already updated its policies just as we predicted they would. From later this month, affiliates who are not required to hold a license themselves must link directly and exclusively to gambling entities that are licensed and authorized in the target geographic region on the advertised domain. The site footer must feature a prominent statement confirming that all outbound links are exclusively to gambling entities licensed and authorized in the relevant geographic location. No more two-step gateway links, no more escaping geo-restriction. And while this is obviously targeted at parasitic SEO companies like ClickOut Media, it also specifically applies to YouTube creators. We know, we asked them. Which leaves the real question still standing taller than ever. If the marketing machine doesn't own the room, who does? One thread left. Directors run companies, but shareholders own them. On the official filing for one of the cluster companies we interrogated, the shareholder listed isn't a person. It's yet another holding company in yet another offshore jurisdiction. And when you stand at the end of this whole trail, the token history, the founding cast, the way this operation moves, who it protects, what it never touches, that name lends itself to an opinion. An opinion, nothing more, about who has the means, the capability, and the interest to run a platform like CoinPoker. I have that opinion. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but delay your frustration. I know after this whole video, was it a waste? No, I promise. It's not the reason that you think it is. It's not because it's a cop-out or a fear of lawyers or anything extrajudicial, and regrettably not because I've been paid off. It's actually the point of this video. So please stay with me because here's the ending you weren't expecting. It's where responsible journalism comes in, and I mean that phrase without irony. I can run my investigations, I can build the connections, I can make my inferences. You've watched us do this all video. But here's the thing, even if I could prove 100% who owns CoinPoker, I doubt there'd be any public interest in disclosing it. Here's why. First, I have no evidence, none, that whoever ultimately owns this platform directed any of the conduct described in this video. And when I game it out, I don't believe they did. Because whoever built this valued privacy above almost everything. Now ask yourself, does a person like that approve a marketing plan whose first move is throwing sand in the eyes of the largest, most powerful corporate entity ever to exist, whose power, reach, and influence dwarfs your own? You do not buy verified Google ads through a letterbox for a platform whose own terms ban America if you're trying to stay invisible. Mass marketing to millions of normies on YouTube against Google's own policies through affiliates, inviting exactly the heat that produced this video, that was never in the quiet owner's corporate sustainability plan. What that has is affiliate overreach written all over it, not owner's instructions. ClickOut Media, Finixio, the principals behind them and the senior ambassadors who know better are the villains of this story. They are the ones getting around advertising rules. They are the ones putting YouTube creators at risk. They are the ones who subverted venerable publications, allegedly replacing their writers with AI without disclosing the connection. They are the ones hurting poker and everyone who plays it. And at bottom, building a poker platform and putting it out into the world in itself is not wrongdoing. Given all that and the effort spent on privacy, I think that the privacy has a claim to respect. When wrongdoing is proven, privacy loses. Until then, it holds. That's the line between journalism and doxing, and I intend to stay on the right side of it. And there is one more reason that I'm not, at least at this stage, naming who I think owns CoinPoker, and here I'm being completely straight with you. We need their help. The entire poker community does, because I have a message for whoever does own this platform, along with every other major operator in this space. It is in your interest to rid poker of these elements. It's in your interest to seed a global governance structure for poker as exists for basketball and for chess, to change outdated laws, to spread legal online poker to new markets, to build a legacy the poker world will actually thank you for. And this won't hurt the bottom line. Even when legal, providing online poker has a high barrier to entry, and that makes it enormously profitable. The bandwagoning effect is massive. People go where people already are. That's why X and Facebook and YouTube continue to dominate. That is the campaign this channel exists in part to fight, for decades if necessary, and I'd rather have the industry's resources pointed at legalization than at letterboxes. Because here's my closing argument to every operator hiding behind a nominee in Panama. Poker has changed, and I don't think you've noticed. Yes, the game's history and half its cultural furniture comes from Mississippi riverboat dandies, Wild West saloons, and gangster-era Vegas. But speaking as an Australian, I can promise you, things can change despite a convict past. Gradually for a while, and now especially since solvers arrived, the people who took over this game are the chess nerds, the Magic the Gathering geeks, spreadsheet people, normies, with professional lives, mortgages, LinkedIn pages that don't require a documentary. They work in government. They get recruited by defense contractors, by international regulators, by Google itself. The old association between poker and crime and degenerate gambling is dying on its own. And every shell company, every fake license, every letterbox in this video is somebody paying good money to keep it alive. So reach out and build something real, because poker is now on an inexorable path to mainstream legitimacy. Eventually, poker will be taught in schools, a vehicle for probability and resilience and expected value. It will be in university lecture halls in mathematics and philosophy and game theory. And it will be under lights at the Olympic Games. with people representing their country on the podium. But to get us there faster, we need everyone, players and providers, crushers and creators, to cut loose those elements dragging us down. There is no winning against the mainstream, nor should you want to fight it. The major platforms are key to this change, and we will definitely need your support in getting there. And so this time, my normie, vanilla, poker room review fanboy sign off. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.